All right. Welcome back to another season of the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. I'm Brad.
This is Zach, aka the Oracle. What's up, everybody? It's good to be back.
Yep, real good to be back. I'm Hefe, back for another season, ready to get into it.
For those of you who didn't know, Zach is the Oracle and Hefe is the Guru, and I'm the Professor. All right, so this is our first time back since Super Bowl. We've had a lot of changes, a lot of things going on, people moving around geographically, trying to get everything together. But we're back, and we're happy to be back, and we are here to talk about the draft, the upcoming draft on Thursday, right?
Yeah, this Thursday, starting it off first round.
Okay. All right, real quick, if you're watching this, please on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to make sure that you never miss an episode, so you have reminders. If you're whether you're watching or you're listening, please share on social media, share with everyone you know, helps get the word out. We certainly appreciate it. And away we go. So where do we want to start, gentlemen?
Well, Hefe's got the mock draft out there on our Facebook, Twitter page at Horsemen Sports, so we'll let him start it off.
See, well, Trevor Lawrence is obviously the lock for the Jags, right? So there's not a whole lot to talk about, when it comes to number one. But I think there's a lot to talk about when you talk about 2 through 4. Zach Wilson has been said that the Jets are pretty dead set on taking him, but the 49ers, with the huge trade up to the number 3 spot, and they have 3 guys that they really like. And John Lynch has just said that it's basically going to be Kyle Shanahan's pick as to what quarterback he wants when they get there at 3. And so right now, that's where all the conversation is. Well, what's Kyle Shanahan going to do? And of course, this is going to have an effect on Kyle Shanahan's legacy. So he's going to have to get it right.
Do you think Zach Wilson's a lock at number 2? I mean, for weeks, everybody's been sitting there saying that, Zach Wilson's a guy. Do you think that the Jets are just sitting there playing mind games with everybody? Or do you think that's legitimate?
I think, there's been so little talk about it that, ever since they said Zach Wilson's their guy, that it has to be their guy. There hasn't been any conversation of, the Jets might take Mac Jones. The Jets might take Justin Fields. I haven't heard any of that noise over the last couple of weeks, maybe last month. Even after all the pro days and everything, and I think he's pretty locked in at number 2, which just seems like the most Jets thing to do is to go pick a guy like Zach Wilson at number 2. So,
yeah. What do you think about? Go ahead.
I'm glad you brought that up with the Jets thing to do. I mean, they took a top draft pick, ran him in the ground, threw him out to the trash, and now they're going to pick another one up. And I don't know. I don't know. The Jets. Damn it.
The Jets without Gase this year, though. So
you don't know how bad I wanted to say Adam Gase. I hope they get it turned around. I hope it was a matter of just new coaches. Darnold didn't want to didn't fit in, wasn't going to work, amicably. Let's move on. Let's find our guy. But I think it's probably just more of the same from New York, just right at the bottom of the AFC East where they belong.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think the Jets, I think they're pretty much locked in on Zach Wilson. Everybody is saying that it's been him. I just wanted to pick Hefe's brain a little bit, see what he thought on it. But yeah, I do believe Trevor Lawrence, number 1, Zach Wilson, number 2. It'll take the Jets a couple years to turn around. If Zach Wilson is legit, if he's not, it'll probably be another 5-10 years before the Jets have any chance of turning things around there. But the big question is, what are the San Francisco 49ers going to do at number 3? And who do you have them selecting at number 3, Hefe?
Well, I still have them selecting Justin Fields. I had it in my mock draft, and just recently, a couple days from when we recorded this, I had seen that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were talking about Mac Jones and Trey Lance, and a lot of people are saying that those are going to be one of the choices, and a lot of the stuff you hear in the media from the NFL, as I've learned from watching the different shows and different podcasts, is that there are a lot of smoke screens. and I think this is one of them. I think that they're dead set on Justin Fields. I think I don't really know what the value is for them to say that they're looking more at Mac Jones and Trey Lance, but I think Justin Fields. It just makes too much sense when you're talking about the three quarterbacks that are going to be left there. I'm not even somebody who likes Ohio State, but I would still pick Justin Fields over the other two there. So to me, it's got to be Justin Fields.
Yeah, and I actually agree with you. I know, especially the last couple of days, everybody's saying, "Oh, Mac Jones," and now Trey Lance is up there. But I'm with you. I think it's Justin Fields. I think it's all smoke screens. If they don't take Justin Fields, I will be very surprised. And if they don't take him, I mean, anybody who picks him up after 3, that's a hell of a pickup right there. So we'll see what happens on that. But yeah, I think Justin Fields there. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and in whichever order it is, whether it's Mac Jones or Justin Fields at 3, I still believe that the Broncos are going to be the team that makes the trade up. When you talk about the number 4 pick, I
With the
think
Falcons?
I think the Falcons are going to be willing to trade it.
Ooh,
They've
okay.
they've been talking about the possibility of trading Julio because they're in a tough cap situation. I believe they don't even have the money to sign the rookies that they're about to draft. So they got to make a move somewhere. They've been talking about trading Julio again. So I think they're going to be open to trading that 4 pick. I think the Broncos are not sold on Drew Lock. I think that John Elway and the GM there are going to have to pretty much save their jobs with this one and hope that Mac Jones is that guy. I still believe he's the 4th best quarterback in the draft, and he should go number 4 to the Broncos.
Oh, I don't know about that. I could see that happening, that trade with the Broncos to move up, but I think what Atlanta will be asking for will be way too much. So I have an alternative theory, especially with them, with the rumors out that they're trying to ship Julio Jones out, which, by the way, hell of a pickup if the Colts or the Packers could get him right there.
Yeah.
Instant Super Bowl
No
contender.
doubt.
But so with them trying to ship out Julio Jones, I think Atlanta's actually going to stay at number 4 and take Kyle Pitts to replace Julio Jones. And I will get back to the Denver Broncos because they will trade up, but we'll get to who they are going to trade up with here very shortly. But yeah, Atlanta stays at number 4, going to take Kyle Pitts, tight end out of Florida.
Yeah, that would be the move there in the top 5 that would kind of mess up everything for me because I had that trade, but I have, people when you go forward in the draft, you talk about the 5 pick and the Dolphins are sitting there and people are talking about, oh, they should take a
Bengals.
receiver. They should take, oh, that's right. The Bengals are, but they're taking the tackle. So, they're pretty dead set on the tackle. So
Penny Sewell, yep, I'm right there with you.
and then that 6 pick is the Dolphins there. And it just makes too much sense to me not to have Kyle Pitts there. Obviously the Falcons, if the Falcons are at 4, I do believe they take Kyle Pitts. It'd be crazy not to take Kyle Pitts for them. But I do think the way it falls out that Kyle Pitts ends up with the Dolphins and people say, they should get Jamar Chase, they should get Devontae Smith. It makes sense, but they got Kyle Fuller on a 1-year contract for, 1 year, $10 million, decent contract. They still have Devontae Parker and they have Preston Williams. If you add Kyle Pitts to that mix, you give Tua all the weapons he needs. They have a decent backfield, they weren't bad last year. So I think it makes too much sense for the Dolphins not to go Kyle Pitts at 6 if he's not there for the Falcons.
Well, if that is the case, then yes, I believe Pitts would go there. However, with Atlanta taking Kyle Pitts at number 4, we got Swell going at number 5 to Cincinnati. I think that the Denver Broncos trade up to with Miami Dolphins, and that is where they will take Mac Jones at number 6. The Dolphins, there's no reason for them to be at number 6. They could drop down to number 9, and they'll get a little bit more draft picks in with the trade with the Broncos trying to move up to get their guy. So I think that is the trade right there. Denver moving up to 6 to take Mac Jones.
Flores has shown that he will wheel and deal and swindle to get more draft picks and get more leverage out of the draft. It's very plausible.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If the Broncos can't get to 4, I could definitely see them doing that for sure.
Yeah, the Dolphins are really sitting pretty in this draft. I mean, they really they don't have to do anything. I mean, they can maneuver in so many different ways to pick up so many different things, and they're filling in gaps at this point. And there's a lot of different places they can do it. So I'd love that theory. I'd love to see that happen. To be honest.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So, all right, what we at 7? The Detroit Lions. Who you got at number 7, Jeff?
So a lot of people in this draft are talking about Jamar Chase, number one, and for good reason. You know, he's 6 foot tall, a couple inches taller than Devontae Smith. Offers a lot of the same skill set, but he's a bigger guy. But I like Devontae Smith a lot, and I think he's the best wide receiver in this draft. I think he'll have the biggest impact in the NFL. Not that Jamar Chase should be far behind, but to me, the Lions have to go wide receiver here. I mean, you just let Marvin Jones and Kenny Galladay walk out of the building. They have to grab a wide receiver, and Devontae Smith is that guy for me.
Yeah, I agree on the receiver, but I have them taking Chase.
Yeah, a lot of people do. And like I said, I don't blame him. He's a little bit bigger, so I know that's enticing, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's the only reason why I kept Devontae down, even though he is so explosive and he proved it with his Heisman run last year at Alabama. But he's just so undersized that I just got to go with Chase here.
You guys haven't even mentioned Jalen Waddle.
Not yet. It's coming though.
So you don't think? I mean, you think Jalen Waddle falls down behind these two guys?
Yeah, because of his injuries. He was out almost the entire year last year. I just think that's just going to hurt just enough. Jamar Chase, he would have been easily the top receiver coming off the board last year, and then Devontae Smith's your Heisman winner last year. So I think because of the injuries and those previous 2 reasons, I think that's why he's going to be the third receiver off the board.
Yeah, because I was looking over. I was looking over a couple different mock draft scenarios, and most of the people I looked at had Chase going before both of them, and some of them had Waddle going before Devonta Smith. So, um, it's curious.
Yeah, I feel a lot of the same way Zach does. I think the injuries are really the only thing that's going to slide him down, especially playing on the injury. You know, who knows what other kind of damage he could have done while he was playing in that national championship game. He's still going to be a really good player. He should be very productive in the NFL. They I don't know. I haven't looked lately to see if he's going to be ready for the season. I would assume, by the time the season rolls around, he'll be able to get going again. But if we're going to skip ahead a little bit, Jalen Waddle, I have going. I said, the Dolphins might not need to take a receiver, but I have Jalen Waddle going to the Dolphins.
At what pick?
Number 18.
Well, where are we at? We eighth with the Panthers.
Yep, sitting here with the Panthers, it seems like they have pretty much everything they need on offense, right? They have the receivers. They obviously have McCaffrey sitting there, so you need to be able to protect the quarterback. Whether you're going to use Teddy or whether you're going to use Sam Darnold, you got to be able to protect him. And there are teams that are going to be able to get cornerstone type tackles in the second round. I mean, it's a deep tackle class, which is going to help a lot of teams this year. And a couple of teams that are going to benefit are the Bengals at 5 and the Panthers at 8. They're getting 2 really good, big ass athletic tackles to fill positions of need for them. And it's going to make a big impact on both the offenses.
Yeah, I got the Panthers going a different route. Here's where I have them taking Devontae Smith. You got Chase at number 7 for the Detroit Lions, and then I got Devontae Smith here with the Panthers. So yeah, I think they go a different direction. Add that explosive playmaker. I think Devontae Smith is good enough that you just can't pass him up where he's at. But there's also the possibility that where the Panthers could trade down too. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, I have a question for you. We have a lot of quarterbacks. What happens if we get down this far and somebody like Mac Jones or Justin Fields are still available? What these teams snag one? I mean, I've heard rumors that some people think that the Panthers are going to take Justin Fields, or I guess in the scenarios that you guys talked about before, might switch with Mac Jones. But uh, I I don't know why they do that. I mean, when they have Bridgewater, they have Darnold, but then again, he's a hot commodity. It could create kind of a moral dilemma, don't you think?
Yeah, well, the bulk of this kind of upper middle pack in the draft order, all these teams have their quarterbacks.
Yeah,
So, and I know
exactly.
everybody's been talking about how this may be the first draft where you have four quarterbacks coming straight off the board, which is very well possible. But if you know one, two, and three are going to be quarterbacks, right? So the fourth and fifth quarterback, whether that's Fields, Mac Jones, or Trey Lance, I think there's a real possibility that one or both of them will slip significantly, possibly even into the mid teens, just because all those teams above them, they're all set. They have their quarterbacks, and there's other playmakers out there that are really, really good that they'll be able to pick up in the towards the bottom of the middle tier of the draft order. So I think it's just everybody's set unless there's a team that gets real thirsty and has to move up to grab their guy. I think teams might be able to be patient, especially if you're sitting around the 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 area.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about the Patriots moving up, which is why I'm hoping, if Mac Jones falls, I'm not real worried. It'd be cool if the Patriots picked him because, look, most of the guys that come out of Alabama are studs in the NFL, except for the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks are always trash in the NFL. It's just the way it goes. So if Mac Jones falls to the Patriots, I'm totally fine with that. But they've been talking about the Patriots want to trade up. They might trade down. They might stay where they are. They're putting all kinds of smoke screens out there, but I could definitely see, especially after the what was it, $157 million on the guaranteed to guys in the first day of free agency this year, if they're going to be more aggressive with their decisions, and I could definitely see them being one of the teams that tries to trade up and draft a guy like a Justin Fields if he falls over Mac Jones.
Yeah, well, and there's a good possibility, just like Zach was saying about a second ago. There's a good possibility that the Patriots may not have to do anything, and one of these guys really fall in their lap. And it's debatable with the Mac Jones and the Justin Fields of who's gonna take who. So I don't know. We'll see. All right, so we're at 9 with where the Broncos are slated to pick.
Yeah, and this is where I had the trade happening with the Broncos trading up, the Falcons coming down to 9. And this is where, this cornerback class, I mean, just like last year, basically the first 2, 3 rounds of this draft is kind of loaded anyways, anyway you cut it up. But there's some cornerbacks in this draft that should be game changers in the NFL. And the first one I have coming off the board is Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech going to the Falcons at 9.
Okay. It's not a solid little bet there. Obviously, this is where I have the Miami Dolphins sitting after their trade with the Denver Broncos. Here is where I think the Dolphins look to improve their offensive line, and they'll take Rashawn Slater, the offensive tackle out of Northwestern.
And I have no comment.
All right, so number 10, the Dallas Cowboys. Where are you sitting with the Cowboys, Hefe?
So one of my favorite players in this draft, kind of because as somebody who plays Madden, I'm a fan of his dad, and he's another guy coming out of Alabama, going to be a stud. Patrick Surtain the second. A guy like him. A lot of these guys that grow up in a household with guys that were really good in the NFL when they played. These kids are coming in and being huge difference makers, and the Cowboys need to shore up their secondary. They were giving up a ridiculous amount of pass yards last year. Go out and get somebody that's 6'2", somebody that has lived around a former Dolphins legend, and somebody who he's playing the same position as his dad. He knows the game probably better than anybody in this draft. So, Patrick Surtain, again, I like him a lot, and I think the Cowboys are going to have a star when they pick him.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I haven't taken Surtain at number 10 as well. That defense was horrendous last year, and so they have to make improvements, and it all starts right there with Patrick Surtain. All right, number 11, the New York Giants. Where you at, Hefe?
So when you talk about the Giants, Mara out there in New York, he already came out and said he was tired of explaining why they were bad. So they went out and they spent money. And now that, kind of like the Panthers, their offense is pretty much set up. They just need to get a couple more pieces on that offensive line. So I think they go out and get Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech to help shore up that offensive line. They're staying young on the offensive line, but they have a couple veterans there. I'm pretty sure they're still going to need a center, I believe it was, that I think they take later in the draft. But I think that Christian Darrisaw, another tackle in this draft that's going to be solid. He's going to be able to do what they need to be able to protect Daniel Jones, to be able to create run lanes for a star like Saquon Barkley. They're going to be able to open it up this year, and Christian Darrisaw is going to help with that a lot.
Hey, look at that. Back-to-back picks where we agree. Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech, going to the New York Giants.
Smart man.
Hey, thanks. So the Philadelphia Eagles. You want to say something?
I was just going to say, a lot of the mock drafts that I've looked over have Devonta Smith falling to 11. I've seen several of them, 3 or 4 of them, where these experts think that he'll fall that low. That's kind of why I was asking the question earlier about him. So I just wanted to interject that in there, see what happens.
Yeah, that'll be something if Devontae falls that far. But we'll see. So number 12, the Philadelphia Eagles ended up trading down. Who you got, Hefe?
This is where I have another one of those really good corners, another guy that could be the best at his position in this draft, J.C. Horn, coming out of South Carolina. And a lot of people hyped up. He reminds me a lot of a young Richard Sherman, which is dangerous for the league. We know how good Richard Sherman was. People don't like him because of his mouth, but at the time when Richard Sherman was with Seattle, he was the best in the game. And J.C. Horn has a lot of those qualities. Like I said, he's a big guy. He's got speed on him. He's really, really good in man coverage. So the Eagles would be doing themselves a service if they went and got J.C. Horn.
Yeah, I like J.C. Horn. I don't think the Eagles are going to take him. I actually have him going to the next pick to the Los Angeles Chargers. However, with the Philadelphia Eagles, here's where I think they will take Jalen Waddle, and he becomes a third receiver off the board.
That wouldn't be a bad pickup. They definitely need receivers for what they've been rolling out there. Alshon Jeffrey and Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor didn't show anything in his rookie year. It would be disappointing to take back-to-back first rounders, and they didn't do anything. But like we've talked about, Jalen Waddle should be somebody that gets it done. So yeah, that wouldn't be a bad pickup.
All right, so number 13, like I said, I got J.C. Horn going to the Chargers at 13. Who you got?
This is where I have another one of those tackles going. I'm not gonna lie. I can't. Wait, yeah, I do know his name. I do know his name is Elijah Vera Tucker. Pretty sure I just said that right.
Yeah.
And coming out of USC, I've said it with the teams that are taking them here in the first round. They're all going to be studs. I think all of them are going to be really good players. At least going to be somebody that you feel good about rolling out there every Sunday. They might not all turn out to be Jason Peters. But I do think Elijah Vera Tucker is going to be good for the Chargers. They have to be able to protect their young quarterback, and there's a lot of that going on in my mind. I might just be scarred by what happened to Andrew Luck, and you got to protect these young guys, make sure they don't retire young on you. But I do think it makes sense right here. That Chargers offensive line has been getting their quarterbacks beat up for the last couple of years. They got to do something to fix it. I think they do it here.
So where we have 14 Minnesota Vikings, I actually have Micah Parsons, linebacker out of Penn State, coming off the board, heading to Minnesota.
Yeah, this one just makes too much sense. Penn State's linebacker, you know what I mean? And Micah Parsons, there's a lot of hype behind him. I think he's really athletic. He's really good. They gotta shore up the defense. They got to get a new linebacker in there, somebody to head the defense. So I think Micah Parsons, like I said before, just makes too much sense here.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a beast of a linebacker. I could see multiple Pro Bowls in his career.
Yeah, especially if they can find a way. They got to shore up the rest of the defense now. A lot of guys have left, so they still have some drafting to do and being able to sign some guys. But I think getting Micah Parsons is like the guy you build around that on that defense. Good move by the Vikings.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, number 15, the New England Patriots. If New England doesn't trade up, who do you have them taking at 15?
Yep, I have them staying in place and taking Jamar Chase. That's where I think he comes off the board, slides down a little bit. You know, when I was doing it and I got to Jamar Chase to 15, as I put it in, I thought, okay, where can I put Jamar Chase in above him? Because I know people are going to think I'm crazy, but it just other picks just made sense for organizations to go in a different direction to me. And so I think somehow, some way, the evil genius ends up with Jamar Chase.
Absolutely no way that is ever going to happen. No. Jamar Chase is going to be taken in the top 10. I guarantee that. Mark my words. There's no way Jamar Chase is going to slide all the way down to 15. But if he does and the Patriots snack him up, I am going to cry.
Yeah, well, they have Cam throwing in the ball, and if Cam has, what was it, a .25 interception to touchdown ratio like he did last year, who cares who they get?
Yeah, true. With the Patriots at 15, I hope, just because how much I hate the Patriots, that they make a move and they go up to draft a quarterback. But unfortunately, I have them staying put and still being able to get their quarterback. I have Trey Lance going to the New England Patriots at 15.
Ooh, do you think Bill will take his chance as old as he is? You think he'll want a project quarterback?
Hey, Bill's got to do something. And the way that they were spending in free agency, they're going to be very aggressive. And I did hear on the Pat McAfee show, I was listening earlier today, shout out to Pat Mac, that I guess Robert Kraft made a comment that this draft things are going to be different or something along those lines than what they typically do. And typically they're trading out of the first, picking up more draft picks, drafting well in the later rounds. So if it's going to be completely different than what they're used to doing, and by the fact that they went crazy in free agency on the first day, I think that they're going to make a move. And if, like I said, if they don't trade up, I think they're going to take a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that. I don't know. You have Cam there, what, another 1 year contract, now that people are coming back and they have been able to sign people. If Cam has success, you feel like they'll probably re-sign Cam. So I don't know. It would definitely make sense to get a backup plan. But I don't know how they feel about Jared Stidham either. There's not a lot of news that comes out about Jared Stidham. So, it's hard to really get a feel on how they feel about him. But I don't know. I don't know. I obviously have Trey Lance going somewhere else. So hard for me to agree, but I don't know. I think it makes more sense that they trade up to get one of the other quarterbacks and draft a guy like Trey Lance.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, number 16, Arizona Cardinals. Who you got?
This is another one of those tackles. I have Tevin Jenkins coming out of Oklahoma State, going to Arizona. They have all the receivers you could dream of, Fitzy, D Hop, AJ Green, anybody you could possibly want to throw to. And then, the running back situation, they're just fine at running back. So what do? You go and get an offensive lineman because, the defense, they could probably use somebody in the secondary, but you can get one of those guys in second, in second round, I do believe they'll do that. I think they take an offensive lineman here, get somebody to help protect Kyler Murray because his little ass is running around like crazy all the time because that offensive line is trash. So you get a guy like Tevin Jenkins. I actually wouldn't be surprised with the moves they've made this offseason if they go ahead and trade up to get a guy like Christian Darrisaw or Elijah Vera Tucker. But these guys, I think a lot of the guys that are being taken from Christian Darrisaw down into the second round. A lot of them are pretty similar and will give out a lot of the same production. So you stay there, take Tevin Jenkins. I think that's what they should do, and I think that's what they will do.
It's formidable. I could see them doing that. However, I think they're going to go the opposite way, go with a defensive player and take Christian Barmore, defensive tackle out of Alabama, kind of stout up the middle of that defensive line where they just picked up J.J. Watt. So you got the studs on the offense, and now you're going to get some studs on the defense. Cardinals might run away with the division next year. We'll see.
They're gonna have to compete with the Rams, man. I'm excited to see what Stafford does with the Rams. But yeah, the Cardinals gonna be scary next year, that's for sure. And the Colts got to play that entire division.
Yeah, true that. All right, so the Raiders are sitting at 17. Raiders are what, your second favorite team?
Third. I've always been a Ravens fan because I like Ray Lewis.
So whichever one's winning is your second and your third, right?
Yeah, right. No, I have the linebacker from Notre Dame,
You gonna say his name?
Jeremiah Owusu Koramata. Does that sound right, Notre Dame fan?
Jeremiah Owusu Koramoa? I don't know.
Koromoa. However you say that dude's name, he's going to be really good. You know, he's got pretty much all the intangibles that you would look for in somebody you're trying to build your defense around. The Raiders need help on the second level of that defense. They need a little bit of secondary help too. But I think, probably a biased opinion because I was a linebacker, you got to find another cornerstone guy that you can build the defense around. Max Crosby up front is good. Cleveland Farrell wasn't the guy they should have taken, but he's not terrible by any means. He's been pretty good. So D-line is okay. They got to be able to get that second level. You got to stop the run. You got to have some guys that can stick with tight ends in coverage, guard the guy that's crossing through the middle. I think Jeremiah is going to be able to do that for him.
Yeah, I think they're going to go defense as well. However, I got them going back into the secondary, taking the safety out of TCU, Trayvon Moehrig.
That's actually not a bad pick. When you go through my mock draft, the next defensive player that I have coming off is going to be Trayvon. So if it wasn't going to be Jeremiah there, I was going to flip flop those. I thought about flip flopping those, but yeah, it's going to be one of those guys there, I believe.
Sweet, yeah. So number 18, who you got at 18? Who is it? The Dolphins?
I have Jalen Waddle going to the Dolphins, giving Tua another weapon. I had him taking Kyle Pitts earlier in this draft at the number 6 pick. I think taking Jalen Waddle, probably not their biggest need, but why not go get another weapon, right? You don't know if Kenny Stills is going to stick around after a year. I think he probably will, but will he? You never know. So go ahead, pick up Jalen Waddle with your second pick here. Give you some assurance for the future since you have Preston Williams, Devontae Smith. They would be a very potent offense this year with Kyle Pitts and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, it would. I just don't see Waddle going that far back. I talked about him earlier when I had him getting picked up, but I don't see Waddle being there. So I think that the Dolphins are going to shore up their offensive line, and this is where they're going to take Elijah Vera Tucker. So I think Tua will get a little bit of protection, which will help him out. And we'll see how it goes. Like Brad said earlier, the Dolphins are going to be stacked. They're stacked for the next 7 drafts or something like that. So I think they'll be all right. They got Tucker, tackle out of USC, coming here at 18.
Yeah, I thought long and hard about giving them an offensive lineman because it made too much sense with all the tackles in the draft. You give them somebody that's going to be there for all of Tua's career, or most of it. It makes a lot of sense. And I thought about it long and hard, but at the end of the day, I went Jalen Waddle. But it wouldn't surprise me if they take a tackle.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, so Washington football team sitting at 19.
This is where I have Trey Lance going.
Ooh.
Yep, they pick up their quarterback for the future. I think Ron Rivera will be able to work it out with them, and there are a lot of people. I wouldn't be surprised if Washington traded up, a lot of people believe Washington will trade up to go get Trey Lance if he doesn't get picked in those first, 4 or 8 picks. And I could see him doing it. I didn't have him trading up. It didn't make enough sense to me. I couldn't put a good enough trade or a good enough scenario together um, for that to happen. But maybe they do it. But either way, I think Trey Lance going to be Washington's quarterback.
Yeah, I think it'd be a mistake if Washington were to trade up to try to get a quarterback. They're sitting at 19. It's middle, late first round. I think you're going to give up way too much to try to get up there. There is a chance that they might slip and they can pick up a quarterback there. I don't think it's going to happen. So with the 19 pick, I have them taking Jeremiah Owusa Komora out of Notre Dame for the linebacker. But regarding their quarterback situation, they did sign Ryan Fitzpatrick, which, by the way, if they did get Trey Lance, that'd be something. Fitzmagic will go in, ball out like he did last year, and then he'll get pulled midseason, and Trey Lance will come in and almost kill it, like what happened down in Miami. But that's besides the point. You got Fitzmagic, you're sitting at 19. If Fitzmagic burns out, you don't do too well this year. Next year, you might have a better draft pick than 19. You have a higher shot of getting a quarterback there, somebody that you actually want, instead of risking it all to move up. But if Fitzmagic balls out and your team's pretty good, then who knows? I
See,
hope so.
I thought it made sense with as much NFL experience, all the different offenses that Fitz has had to learn, and all the different defenses that Fitz has seen over his career. I think it just makes too much sense. A guy like Ron Rivera going and getting a quarterback, the first project quarterback to come out of the draft, Trey Lance, and you go and get him to get a bunch of knowledge real quick and get it from Fitz Magic. Ron's been around the game. He played. He was a player. He's a coach. I think that would be the perfect place for Trey. I could definitely see him going elsewhere. Like you said, Fitz is there, and I think Fitz is going to ball out. I think that they've put the pieces around that team for that team to be really good. I think Fitz is going to be really good. Maybe not MVP level. I'm not saying he's going to be, a top 5 quarterback, but I think he's going to make Washington a threat to people every single week. So I don't think Trey Lance is going to be a draft him and play. That's why I think Trey Lance has fallen a little bit. I don't think he's a draft him to play this year kind of guy. I think he needs to be behind a guy like Fitz, some guy like Mike Glennon. So just behind one of these older experienced guys. So it just makes a bunch of sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with your assessment on Trey Lance. I mean, that's why I got him going to the Patriots, sitting behind Cam Newton for a year or two. So I
Yep.
agree with your assessment there. That works. So, all right, number 20, the Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears.
Yeah, this is where we had talked about Trayvon. This is where I have him going. Safety going to TCU. They let Adrian Amos go to the Packers a couple years ago, and they did a good job replacing that. But they're going to have to replace Eddie Jackson soon. He's getting older. The way they've been treating their aging stars on their defense, all the good guys, they're kind of getting filtered out of there. They're going to need to replace him, and you add depth to the secondary if one of those guys happens to get hurt. Which again, Eddie Jackson getting older, you probably start worrying about that kind of thing. So Trayvon, it just makes a lot of sense here. The Bears, you would think might want to go offensive line. They might want to go receiver. But we're talking about the Bears. The Bears don't care about their offense apparently. So that's why I have them going defense.
Yeah, I got him going defense as well. Taking Greg Newsome, the cornerback out of Northwestern. But I do like your little jab at the offense. They did pick up Andy Dalton though, so I think Andy will do all right.
Yeah, I think he should be fine. It'll be nice to see Allen Robinson having a half decent quarterback thrown to him because he went from Blake Bortles to Mitchell Trubisky. He had Mike Glennon for a year, I think, whatever that was.
A little bit of Nick Foles in there.
Little bit, yeah, that's right, little Nick Foles. So it'll be good to see a half decent quarterback throwing the ball to Allen Robinson, but I think that offense has a lot to be desired. So my expectations are tempered a little bit.
Yeah. All right, so the moment everybody has been waiting for. the Indianapolis Colts, your future 2022 Super Bowl champions, sitting there at pick number 21. Who they taking, Jeff?
A lot of people are saying Colts should draft or trade back, go get more picks, blah blah blah. Chris Ballard, look, he usually does it. Don't do it, man. I don't know if you watched Chaz Green play football at left tackle last year, but my grandma could do a better job of stopping Myles Garrett than Chaz Green could. Dude shouldn't be in the league. You got to go get a left tackle that's going to replace what Anthony Costanzo is leaving behind. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Everything but quarterbacks that comes out of Alabama are studs in the NFL. Go get Alex Leatherwood and let's lock it up for the next 10 to 15 years at left tackle.
You think so?
Oh, dude, if we draft Alex Leatherwood, I will buy an Alex Leatherwood jersey.
Okay.
That's how excited I am about that draft pick.
I'm going to hold you to that. We definitely need an offensive tackle. I think we will get one. I don't think it'll be worth a first-round pick, so I do not have them taking a tackle in the first round. If Ballard does not trade back and pick up some more assets, I have them taking you might have to help me here, Michigan man. Kwity Paye, the edge out of Michigan Wolverines.
I would not be mad. That dude's a physical freak. And because this draft is so top heavy, there's so many huge names coming out of this draft. There are going to be some guys that slip down. That's why, at 21 this year, it's not a bad pick. There are going to be some guys that are studs. Kwity Paye has all the physical intangibles you could ever dream. He's got the speed. He's got the strength. He's got the size. If he comes in, he'll be working with Robert Mathis. I'm sure Robert Mathis is working with a lot of the guys right now that play for the Colts. He's doing his gridiron gang thing. And, if you ever watch Robert Mathis, hell of a guy to learn from. Robert Mathis, his ability to be able to dip and keep his balance, that's one thing that separates edge rushers in the NFL. So if you get this guy and teach him that dip move that Robert could do, then you have a guy that over a decade gets you over 100 sacks in his career. And I wouldn't be mad about it. Either way it goes, whether we get my guy or whether we get your guy, we have a guy for the next decade that's going to have a bunch of all pros and Pro Bowls and help get a championship back in Indianapolis.
That's right. You tell him. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think I just blew my microphone out, but all right, so moving on, number 22, the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans here, I almost put this guy that the Colts were going to pick him because I don't like Rocky Sin, but this is another corner that grew up with a legendary cornerback as a father. Asante Samuel Jr. from Florida State falls to the Titans again only because if this was, any other year, Asante Samuel Jr. would be a top 10 pick. But because this draft is loaded, Titans get a guy that they're going to be able to rely on for years to come, just like his father. I expect him to carve out a great NFL career for himself, and it starts with the Titans.
Yeah, I was debating whether to go defense or offense here for the Titans, but ultimately I decided to go offense. I think they're going to take Rashad Bateman, wide receiver out of Minnesota, kind of shore up that receiver core they got going out there.
Interesting. So you have Rashad Bateman going above Rondale Moore. That is a very interesting decision.
That I do. Only because Moore's so undersized. It's kind of like the whole Devontae Smith argument I was presenting earlier. I think Moore's just a little too undersized. So that's why I got him sliding down a little bit.
See, and the reason I'm not putting a whole lot of weight on the small thing is for guys like T.Y. Hilton. We've had a front row seat to see how somebody that small can work in the NFL. And now we have guys like Tyreek Hill coming out. A bunch of these young guys, Marquise Brown, hasn't been, a stud, but they run the ball a lot, so limited opportunity there. But it seems like the league is transforming. You can't hit guys in the NFL like you used to be able to. Those little guys used to get pummeled coming through the middle. The league isn't like that anymore. So you don't really have to worry about the durability as much, but you still get the speed and athleticism from these little guys. And so, to me, I haven't put as much weight on the being small thing. I understand that that's, when you have, a Hail Mary situation, guys like Rondale Moore and Devontae Smith aren't the guys you're going to be throwing the ball up to. But I think that those small guys are going to have big impacts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the small guys. I know there are a lot of great players out there, like you were naming. I just think when it comes to the draft, if you don't trim your mustache right, these guys are like, oh, maybe he's not good enough. We got to let him go. So even the smallest thing can make a guy fall so far in the NFL draft. It's crazy, but that's what makes it exciting, right? So I just think just trying to make an argument for them slipping. I mean, size is a good one to argue. So
Yep.
yeah, I think it might hurt a little bit, but who knows? We'll see what happens. So all right, where are we at? Number 23.
Yep, the Jets are back on the board, and this is where I have Rondale Moore going. Why? Because who's taking a Purdue wide receiver, a really small Purdue wide receiver? The Jets. Like, of course Rondale Moore is going to the Jets. Like I said, small receivers are starting to make an impact, but I don't have a whole lot of faith in Zach Wilson. Therefore, you can't have a whole lot of faith in the receivers. So, Rondale Moore is already lacking some of the intangibles that you would like from a receiver. And when you pair that up with a quarterback that, be pretty average in the NFL at best, then, you're going to get a receiver that's only going to get, it's the Jets. We're managing expectations here a lot when we talk about the Jets.
Oh, you have a very solid point. That would be something that the Jets would do. And for Rondale Moore's sake, I hope that does not happen because I want him to have a great career.
Yeah, and as a former Purdue fan, I don't really pay attention to Purdue sports a whole lot anymore. But when I was younger, I was a Purdue fan, and so it would be cool to see another Purdue guy come out do well. But I mean, with Drew Brees is the last Boilermaker I know of that came out and did anything in the NFL.
Ryan Kerrigan's a Boilermaker, isn't he?
Ryan Kerrigan, I forgot about him. Yeah,
Yeah.
Washington, great.
Yeah. So, all right. So with the Jets, I have them taking Caleb Farley. I have him sliding down, cornerback out of Virginia Tech, and the New York Jets snagging him up at 23. So moving on to 24. Oh, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I have them going on and replacing the edge rusher that left and went to the Titans, Bud Dupree. They're going to pick Jason away from Penn State. It's another one of those things, you talk about, Penn State defense, there's just kind of a lot of faith there. They have a way of their guys that come out. But this guy is physically gifted, another one of these physically gifted defensive edge rushers. And they have to replace Bud Dupree. They're going to want to get somebody. A lot of people have one of the running backs. I don't have any first round running backs. There are a lot of people who have Pittsburgh taking running back, and it makes sense. But I think they'll be able to get a running back in the second round. So I have them taking an edge rusher here.
Yeah, I got them shoring up their offensive line with Tevin Jenkins, a tackle out of Oklahoma State. Just kind of make that big, brute Steelers mentality going, get that offensive line rolling because Big Ben can't do anything. He can just stand back there and throw the ball. He can't move. So they usually have pretty good offensive linemen. With Pouncey retiring, you're going to need to improve on your offensive line. So I have them taking him, Tevin Jenkins right there.
Yeah, that makes sense because, Andrew, that's his name, right? Andrew Villanueva. I believe is his name. He's not there anymore. You know, a lot of those guys that have been anchoring in front of Ben for all these years aren't there anymore. So yeah, that would make sense too. Offensive line, yeah.
All right, so what, the Jacksonville Jags, number 25, already got their franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence with the number one overall pick. Who you got at 25?
I have them going off and getting somebody that they're going to try to build their defense around. Another one of these guys, you know, they still have Miles Jack, but I think they go and get a middle linebacker and get Aziz Ajalari, I believe is how you say his name, linebacker coming out of Georgia. I believe that, you know, they're going to want to get another one of kind of like a who they have. They had a linebacker that was there before, and I can't remember his name. Recently left the Jags, but they need to replace their middle guy. You know, they need to have that signal caller on their defense. They got to replace that. I think they want to go young here. You know, you're getting the quarterback for the future on the offense. Go get the quarterback for the defense for the future. I think that's what they do here with Aziz.
Okay. Yeah, I got him kind of protecting Trevor Lawrence, another tackle. I was an offensive tackle in high school as well as a defensive tackle, but so I kind of lean heavily towards the offensive line. I know how important those guys are. So I think with a new quarterback like Trevor Lawrence, who you're anticipating being a Jaguar forever, I think you're going to go with this kind of pretty decent offensive tackle, go hand in hand starting out the career. So I have them taking Samuel Cosme, tackle out of Texas, at number 25.
That would make sense. I mean, they look, if we're going to be honest, there's some dudes on that Jaguars offensive line. But if they wanted to go and get a tackle, man, they'd be one of the better offensive lines in the league, truly.
And we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. So probably the most interesting team this next season, the Cleveland Browns, sit at number 26. Who do you have them drafted in the first round?
So I originally in my mock draft, I had them drafting somebody to be an edge rusher opposite Miles Garrett. But with the recent signing of Jadavion Clowney, that's going to get switched around. And I have them shoring up the middle of that defensive line. You know, they've had a couple DTs that have left, but I think they're going to get somebody else to help stop the run, put pressure on the quarterback, and go get Levi Onwuzurike from Washington. Um, Probably just butchered the crap out of that name. Um, but but I think he's another one of these defensive guys. He has the intangibles. You know, the defensive tackle. It's really hard to tell whether or not they're going to be playmakers in the NFL. You know, not every guy is built and has speed like Aaron Donald. You know, so no telling if that'll work out. But I think that's the way they go, is shoring up the middle of that defensive line.
Yeah, I got him taking Jalen Phillips. He's the edge out of Miami, of Florida. I'm not a big Clowney fan. I don't think he's going to be anything that anybody thinks that he's ever going to be. He hasn't been very good since he came in the league. I mean, all right, I take that back. He's been all right. He hasn't been what his expectations should have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think they're going to take Jalen Phillips here, uh, kind of make that defense a little bit better because they're set on the offensive side. So yeah, we'll see what happens there.
That's interesting. I had them taking Jalen Phillips here. You
Did
know,
you?
yeah, sure did.
Nice. All right, so number 27, the Baltimore Ravens. They got two first round picks with their trade with Kansas City for the number 31. This is their first one at number 27. Who do you got?
I have them taking wide receiver Kadarius Tony coming
Oh,
out of Florida. Now
okay.
this is another dude. Kyle Pitts gets a lot of the credit, right? He should. He's the best player in this draft. He's one of the best players to come out of the draft in a long time, and so he gets a lot of the shine. But Kadarius Tony, in his own right, is should be very very good in the NFL. The Ravens need to get receivers. It's no secret that they need receivers. They lost out on receivers. They tried to get T.Y. Hilton, and Jim Irsay came in and swooped him back into Indianapolis at the last minute. So they have to go receiver here. Their defense is good enough. Offensive line is okay. Um, Maybe they want to draft a tackle since Orlando Brown just got traded out of there. Very possible. I think they probably saved that for the 31 pick. I think it's smart to go ahead and get Kadarius Toney with the number 27 overall pick.
I think that would be a very good pickup for them. I expect Tony to be pretty good. However, I think the Baltimore Ravens stick with what they do best, and that's keep improving that defense. I got them taking Jason Owe, the edge out of Penn State here with the 27th pick.
Wouldn't be a bad pickup at 27. I mean, that's one of those guys. Talked about it when we talked about him earlier. He's somebody that very well could have a Bud Dupree type impact, you know. So if they go and get him, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if they tried to go and get somebody that could rush the passer.
Yeah, I know. We'll see. I mean, that's usually what they do. They just keep adding defensive studs left and right. So it wouldn't surprise me. It also wouldn't surprise me if they try to get Lamar Jackson a little bit more help and draft Tony too. So we'll see. 28, New Orleans Saints. What are you looking like?
Well, this is another one that I think they're looking towards the future here, and I think they want to go with Joseph Osai, coming out of Texas, linebacker from Texas. Another guy, you know, they still have Demario Davis, but I think they're going to be able to pair him up with Demario Davis, have him play next to Demario Davis for a couple years and learn that system under Demario Davis. You know, you need to build for the future right now. For quarterbacks, you know, they just gave Taysom Hill 4 years, $160 million, you know, obviously, you know, all voidable years and whatnot, you know, kind of a BS contract, whatever. But they gave him a contract. They have Jameis Winston in the building. You know, they have a couple weapons there. So I think they go defense. I thought long and hard about putting another wide receiver here because I thought that made sense too. But I think building for the future of that defense is what they should be looking at.
Yeah, I got him going opposite direction, hitting the offensive sign and taking Terrence Marshall Jr. He is a wide receiver out of LSU.
Hey, you know, what guys coming out of LSU over the last decade pretty much all seem to be studs. So if he's rated high enough to be in somebody's mock draft in the first round, then he's got to be a stud.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. All right, number 29, my second favorite team, the Green Bay Packers.
Who you out and taking?
I got them finally drafting a receiver in the first round and taking Elijah Moore, wide receiver out of Ole Miss.
I like that pickup. I like that pickup
And
a lot.
it's only because if they don't, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to go in there and just start punching people.
Yeah, which, you know, with my pick is probably the way it's going to be. I have them taking Tyson Campbell, cornerback out of Georgia. I think Kevin King was so bad in the playoffs that they're going to have to be like, okay, well, we got to replace this guy. You know, Aaron's the MVP. He can make magic happen. We have Devontae Adams. Devin Funches now, Devin Funches is most of the reason that I did not put a wide receiver here. I think getting that extra weapon back, then you have Lazard and MVS, and then you have the running backs being able to get Aaron Jones back in the building. I mean, they have all the weapons they could ask for. So I think they want to make, you know, Kevin King. I don't even know if he's on the roster right now. So I think they're going to have to replace that. They're going to have to get somebody better to be on the opposite side of Jair Alexander. I think Tyson Campbell comes in and is that guy for him.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right. So the Buffalo Bills sitting at number 30. Who you got at 30?
This is one of my more excited picks. You know, I'm riding the Bills Mafia train. I'm all there for it. I think they go out and get Zaven Collins coming out of Tulsa, linebacker out of Tulsa. They need some more second level guys. They need somebody there next to Matt Milano to help stop the run. That was really the only thing that I could take away the part of their team that I was nitpicking, that like, where do they need to improve? It's got to be the linebacker position. Again, could be biased because I'm a linebacker. And so, I just think everybody needs good linebackers all over the place, but it just makes too much sense here to me that they're going to take a linebacker. It might not be Zaven. They might see things differently. I trust Brandon Bean up there. He's done a great job constructing that team. But if I was going to be picking number 30 here, I'd be taking Zaven Collins.
Yeah, I like Zaven Collins. I don't see the Bills taking him at 30. I still think that they stay on the defensive side, and I got them taking Asante Samuel Jr. here.
That would be a great pickup. Have him in that secondary. That would be, that'd be the no-fly zone. It'd be back. They wouldn't be letting up anything.
Yeah, that'd be dangerous right there. All right, so number 31. After a trade with the Kansas City Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens have their second first-round pick of the 2021 NFL Draft. Who are they taking?
I had the Chiefs in this position taking a guy, and I don't think I'm going to switch it because of the exact reason you said that they were going to take an edge rusher at number 27. The Ravens can't help themselves. They got to take an edge rusher in the first round. So they're going with Carlos Basham Jr. coming out of Wake Forest here at the bottom of the first round. Somebody that, in that Ravens defense, he'll give them what they need, and I think whether it was going to be the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs would have taken him too, but I think Carlos Basham Jr. should be taken in the first round. He goes at 31.
It's not a bad pickup. I will say that I made a mistake on mine, and I have them taking another edge out of Georgia, Azeez Ojulari. But hey, he was pretty good, so I don't know. Yeah, I didn't mean to click that, so I don't know who they're going to take. But yeah, whether they get him or who was the first guy I said, Jason Oweh, yeah, I definitely think they're going to take an edge in one of those two spots.
Yeah, it just makes too much sense.
Yeah. All right. So last pick, your defending Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, sitting at number 32 to close out the first round. Who are they taking?
Now, this one was the most toss-up.
Yes.
They brought back all 22 starters. Like, it doesn't matter who they take. So I just thought, they have Ndamukong Suh, assuming he's not going to be there for very much longer. They're going to want to pair somebody with Vita Vea for a long period of time. So the next DT coming off the board is going to be Aleem McNeil, coming out of NC State. He's a big dude. Don't get me wrong. He's 6'2", 317. He's not, as big, as a guy as I would like to have in the middle. I like some big old 6'5", 360, Vince Wilfork type dudes in the middle. You know what I mean? Vita Vea type wide body guys. But this dude, he's athletic, and we've seen Aaron Donald. Doesn't have to be a Vince Wilfork type. Aaron Donald is kind of short and compact and very muscular and has made it work. And this guy's 317 pounds of all muscle. If you see this picture I'm looking at of him right now, dude is jacked. He looks like an animal. But like I said, he's going to have the speed and he has the strength. He has, the low center of gravity when you're talking about his height compared to offensive linemen, which is why he has that explosive skill set. Guys like him in this draft. So I think he's going to be able to come and make a big impact. Maybe not this year, but in the future, him and Vita Vea are going to terrorize offenses.
Well, you sold me on that. I was going to say the same thing, that it was a toss-up trying to figure out who they're going to select. It wouldn't surprise me if they try to trade out here, if there's a team willing to take that. But yeah, so I didn't know. So I just went with the best player on the board left, and that would be Zaven Collins, linebacker out of Tulsa. I know they're set with linebackers,
Yes,
But
they are.
I mean, when you don't know what to do, you take the best player on the board, and that's where I had him. But your argument definitely sold me on that, so I would not be surprised if that's a route they go there at 32.
Yeah, as I was looking through their entire roster, that was all I could think was like, okay, they could they just signed this side, just signed this guy, just signed this guy. They could re-sign this guy. He's young enough. He's young enough. He's young enough. So like, I was looking like, okay, where's an aged guy that has like 1 or 2 years left? Somebody that probably won't be here long. And Dominican Sue, yeah, he can get on out. Oh, we got this new guy coming in. It just, I wouldn't be surprised if they draft him or one of these other DTs if one of the other DTs falls. I wouldn't be surprised if they draft one and then try to trade in Dominican Sue for another draft pick.
Yeah, have a valid point.
All right. So that's all 32 teams, or all 32 picks rather. And you've heard it here. And we'll know here in a few days. So we will reconvene next week to break the draft down and see where we'll have to get a comparison chart, see where you guys were at. And but if you're listening, we like to, if you're on YouTube or on social media, we'd love to hear your comments, what you think, what your thoughts are, whether you agree with these picks or if you something in different mind. We'd love to hear it. So that does it for this week. Please be sure to show us some love, like, share, and subscribe, and all that stuff. Help us get the word out by telling all your friends. And we will be back for week 2 of our new season next week. So until then, enjoy the draft. Deuces.
See ya.